Hello, it's me again. Okay, so this time we're taking the anger quiz on the 5 love languages. I've done the love language with Luke, the apology one by myself, and this one also by myself because I like to feel sorry and be angry by myself. Anyway, here we go. Again, they start off with asking your gender because I'm assuming they do this for studies. They only have 2 genders, so if that makes you angry, I'm sorry. I picked female. Again, I have only 1 month until 25, so I get to be in the 18 to 24 category. I guess you're not allowed to take this test if you're under 18. There's no option for you. I'm sorry. Anyway, I'm in the United States as my country. Hopefully your country is listed on there. I don't know enough about countries to check. So this one, we're choosing the statement that most closely describes me. I have serious arguments with my loved ones, sometimes for no reason. I think most people will think I handle my anger well. When I'm angry with someone, I am quickly and respectfully able to tell him or her why. Oof, this is such a hard one. Bean, what would you say?
Sorry, I wasn't listening.
Would you say that, would you think that I handle my anger well? No, right?
Where it's like a multiple choice?
Yeah.
What are the options? Sorry.
I have a serious argument with my loved ones, sometimes for no reason, which I don't feel like I do.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that.
Because I don't think they're for no reason. I think, and the second one is, I think most people would say I handle my anger well. And then the other one is, when I'm angry with someone, I am quickly and respectfully able to tell him or her why.
Yeah, I would say it's closest to that one.
The last one?
Yeah.
You think I always feel like I never say it good enough.
I think that, I don't know, I think that nobody's perfect. But I think that one is the closest of those 3.
Okay, that sounds good. People wouldn't say that I handle my anger well, R.I.P. Anyway, I care what people think.
You handle it badly.
But I don't handle it well. Oh, I'm failing.
I don't know if anybody handles it well.
Oh my goodness. Choose a statement that most closely describes you. I'm very good at being quick to talk to someone who offends me so we can work out the issue. I fly off the handle quickly. Sometimes it takes me longer than I'd like to get over being angry. Probably the third one for me, for sure. I would like to get over being angry in less than 5 seconds. I don't know if it's possible, but I would like to. Choose a statement that most closely describes you. I occasionally feel regret about how I express my anger. I simply let bygones be bygones. I find it very hard to forgive someone who has done me wrong. I definitely feel regret about expressing any sort of anger ever because I don't like to hurt people, and I worry that anger at all can hurt people, even if it's justified. Little things don't bother me very much. I wish I had some better strategies or ideas for taking care of the anger I feel. I take frustration so badly that I can't put it out of my mind. I definitely wish I had better strategies because I feel like everybody probably does. I've been so angry at times, I couldn't even remember some of the things I said or did. I consistently find appropriate outlets for my anger. I'm usually able to figure out what it is that makes me angry. Yeah, I don't think... I've never been able to not remember, unfortunately. I wish that were true. There's definitely things that I didn't realize that it was coming across that way to the other person. Like, I didn't intend for that to be translated that way, but it was translated that way to that person, and that was sad. But I don't think I've ever, blacked out. I've been so angry. I don't know what appropriate outlets there are for sports, but then still I get worried about hurting other people. I don't know. But I am usually able to figure out what makes me angry, so we're going with that one. I don't generally like being angry with others. Yeah, that's probably it. I've said malicious things about others to get back at them when I was angry. I rarely, if ever, raise my voice in anger. Unfortunately, it's definitely, I don't like being angry with others. I don't think I've ever said angry things to get back at them. I've definitely, changed tone. If somebody gets more vicious, I think I become more vicious, but they have to put this first thing, which I guess is getting back at them. But it's never intent to get back. It's just being more real, it feels like. I don't know if that makes much sense because it's not like I don't try to call others names. Usually they're called names and I will try not to call them names. And then if they keep calling me names, I might slip because I should have just left the convo earlier. But I'm learning about that I don't have to let other people press my limits, but very hard. Mostly I'm talking about family. I don't think I've done this to like strangers or anything that they would ever know about. I would never want, some things are best left said screaming into your own bedroom or your mean diary. And I don't even do that much of that because I don't like to hold negative thoughts of others. I've had trouble in the job because of my temper. Not because of my temper, but definitely because of my tears for being very sad. My temper has caused problems with loved ones, but we usually seem to work it all out. If I have anything to do with it, I don't let resolved issues hang in the air with those I've cared about. Probably, one could say my temper has caused issues with loved ones, but I don't know. Usually the issue is more complicated than just me being angry. Usually something was done to me be angry, and then my loved ones are upset that I expressed my anger to them, that I was like, that I'm pissed off, and then they're like, you don't have a right to be pissed off. So I'm going to say that I think more so than anything, I don't let unresolved issues hang out. I usually try to talk about everything unless I feel like it's an issue of safety, emotionally, and definitely physically. If I think it's like, if I can't see a positive outcome coming from it, I'm not going to do it. But most of the time I try to do it, and I try to do it as soon as possible. I don't tend to get into many arguments. Some people are afraid of my bad temper. I blurted things out in anger, and I knew I needed to apologize right away. Probably the last one. But I also don't get into many arguments, right? You would say I don't get into many arguments, right?
I would say you don't.
Yeah, I don't. I'm not a Facebook fighter. I used to be very into social justice work, but now I'm like, you can't change people. I went to one Child of Alcoholics Anonymous meeting, and I just realized you can't, that was the first lesson. I was like, all right, good, you got it, bada bing, bada boom. You can't change people. I was like, that makes sense. It hasn't worked out so far. Though it doesn't always happen, I usually recognize when I'm angry. I have control over how I express my anger in the vast majority of situations. I often break things when I'm angry. I definitely think, it says though it doesn't always happen. I do usually realize it's anger beforehand. But I also would say that I do have control over my anger in the majority of situations. And there's only a couple of times that I could only think that was I was experiencing abuse and I felt like I didn't have control. But that was, I've been abused a lot, so that might factor into majority. I think I'm going to pick that one because I do think that there are ways to control. There are always some times where it slips out of your control very little. But yeah, you do the best you can as a human. After getting angry, I'm still able to act lovingly towards those around me. I sometimes feel like arguments with my loved ones just lead to more arguments and difficulties. My anger tends to come out suddenly in strong bursts that often appear uncontrollable to others around me. I'm definitely going to pick that second one because I feel like that every time, and that's why I feel so sad after fighting. Yeah. It feels like a never-ending thing. It feels like, especially with my family, if we fight about one thing, we fight about 10 things at once. And it was like, why didn't we just talk about these 10 things earlier when they were bugging you? Not right now. And then I will talk about the 10 things, and then they'll be like, why are you even talking about that? And it's like, because you brought it up. You brought it up. And I want to talk about it. If you bring it up and it's still an issue, then we need to resolve it. And the way to resolve it that I know of is to talk about it. I keep it to myself when I'm angry. I am quick to forgive others who have offended me. I am usually able to resolve arguments with other people. I wish I was quicker to forgive others who offended me. I think I can forgive them, but I gotta see that repentance, baby. As you would know in my apology. I feel like I'm usually able to resolve it. I don't think that I keep it to myself. I'm very bad about it's either going to go to the diary that's eventually going to be published to my world, so it's not very too much to myself. So I'm going to say that we usually at least lead to a grounding point or an understanding that hey, I guess it's ruined, right? I guess this isn't going to work out, or it's okay, we can continue. So I guess they resolve. Or we keep working to resolve it. I never give up on the resolve. After an argument, I often find myself wishing I had thought of a better way to respond. People tend to think I overreact when I'm angry. I work hard to have all my facts before acting on my anger. I need to do that more. I need to have more facts. Feelings, man, they cloud your brain. I often think, I wish I had a better way to respond. That's for sure. This is going to be very interesting. So my result is that I'm doing well, but I can improve. Pretty much every result ever. That's me. Your results are indicative of someone who handled your anger well in many situations, but there are still times when your anger is handling you. Recognize the areas where you're doing well in handling your anger, but also be cautious that your anger is not getting out of hand in other ways. Think about the situations where your anger comes out most often. Is it with loved ones? At work? What happens when you react angrily? Are you a shouter or do you turn your anger inward? What words do you tend to use? What feelings tend to come out when you're angry? And how do those feelings find expression, in good ways or bad? All right, I guess I'll answer these questions to think about. They're going to be kind of hard. I do think probably I fight the most with family and with my aunt. And I don't know if it's just because she's a Leo. I fight with my boyfriend very, very occasionally, not a lot. We've probably only had 3 major fights and they've lasted no longer than 20 or 48 hours probably. I'm self-employed most of the time, and then most of the time I'm a film set, so at work, even if I'm angry, I have to keep it to myself because this is a business where they judge you on how you express it. And I think that's why it will come out with loved ones more, because I feel like I have more permission to express it rather than at work where you can't. Even if you are justifiably in the Hollywood industry, it doesn't feel like there is permission, especially for a girl, to express anger. And there probably is a way where you can be like, hey, I really don't agree with that. There's a way to do it, but usually I know that I feel things so intently, and sometimes I need things to process, so usually I'll just let it go in work. But hopefully I'll get better about figuring out how to properly voice anger, because you shouldn't have rights taken advantage of you, no matter where you work, even if it's in Hollywood and you're lucky. What happens when I'm getting angry? I definitely think that I can get a little saucy attitude. I don't think it takes me a level to get to name call, and usually that's 20 plus minutes of non-stop arguing, and somebody's already been hurtling cutthroat instances, things where I might. I don't think I've ever called anybody the C word. I've called people a bitch, but also bitch to me doesn't mean anything. I don't know. It doesn't feel as hurtful. Because I kind of feel like it's a reclaimed word. So, I don't know. But still, you shouldn't call people bitch when you're angry ever. But yeah, I usually get very, very mad. I definitely fight with my cat a lot for peeing on stuff. And I usually then have to punish her so that she knows that it's wrong, and I don't like doing that. Because I know she doesn't like to be punished, and she looks very sad, and it's just too sad. But she needs to know that she did wrong, because she can't keep doing that stuff. It's not good for her, and it's not good for me. And we live together, me and my cat. What else happens when I react angrily? Yeah, I think that I used to, and then sometimes when it was really bad, and somebody wouldn't stop, and there was there has to be several things. There has to be where I can't leave the room. Talking hasn't done anything. They're saying things that physically feel like they're restoring my mental health. And there have been times I'm not proud of it. I don't think it's a healthy way, where I've been pushed to my limits, where I have pushed people, and never hard. I'm not a very strong person, but also just a shove of you need to get away from me. You need to get out of my space. You need to not, be by me. It was kind of a go away. And usually I've already tried to leave, and that person didn't respect my boundary of leaving. So it's not that it's right, but it's also not that it's I'm just pushing people and being a fucking butthole and asshole to do that. I don't think violence is ever okay. And so I'm not saying that, and I apologize to anybody who's done that, because it's not fair. But also it is not fair to constantly push somebody's buttons and get an enjoyment out of seeing them hurt. I honestly think that's worse than any physical thing, but I might be alone in that opinion. But anyway, yeah, I tried not to let myself be in those situations anymore, and I've tried to kind of remove myself from the kind of person that triggers that. But yeah, I'm not obviously proud of even lightly shoving anybody. Or lightly I remember when I was in my abusive relationship, There's one time he like wouldn't let me go, and I was leaving because he was just saying like terrible things, and it was the middle of the night in somebody else's house that I didn't know very well, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna Uber home because I'm not gonna sit here and take this abuse. And he like wouldn't let me, and then and I didn't even punch him hard, but I just like punched him to be like, you need to stop, this is serious. And then of course he turned the punching into this whole thing as if I just punched him out of the blue and it was not caused by a series of terrible abuses. I'm not that I'm proud of that, but it's like, it is very bad, and I think we do need to notice that there is a difference between, like, it's like the same thing of like when somebody bullies you over and over again and the person turns around and finally hits the person that was bullying them. I think it's the bully's fault. If you were verbally berating somebody over and over again, and like, of course, you should never do violence. In an ideal world, it wouldn't happen, but we are people, and if they probably have already said words, they probably used a bunch of other things, and that bully ignored them until there was this, and it sucks, and it's a problem that I don't really know a solution to, and I'm kind of trying to brainstorm. But my whole family is a shouting thing, and I have a loud voice, and I need to probably not be a shouter. I've been used to it because of my family, so I've never thought that like shouting is a bad thing. It's just like a way to express. I don't think it's personal. I take it more personal if somebody yells at me aggressively rather than like yells at me, because sometimes too, like, people yell because of shock or like because they're hurt, and it's like there's like an anger yell that is very different. I can get to that anger yell, but I don't like to, and like I said, it takes a lot, usually like an hour to get to the yell, and it's like because I can't ever get a word in. I often do think I turn my anger inward, because that's usually like what depression is. I don't know. I usually try, especially after doing a bunch of self-help stuff and like really working on myself, I try to like say like, what do you want me to do to make up for it? I tried to resolve the situation as quickly as I could. In words, like I always apologize if it's, sometimes usually the other person is so angry it doesn't really matter what you're going to say. But yeah, I usually just try to resolve it, and then I know I will get to a point if I'm trying to resolve it and it's been like a long hard road of me trying to resolve it and doesn't look like it's going anywhere, I will like give up and get snotty, which isn't probably good. I should never give up, but I get tired, y'all. What feelings come to 10 out when you're angry, and how do those feelings find expression in good or bad ways? I definitely think because of the trauma too, I often feel like voiceless, and I kind of get apathetic, like things don't matter. I can get in fights. Fights are like the surefire trigger way to make me feel suicidal, because it just feels like there's just going to be endless conflict and there's no way out. Like, I get into like a really negative thinking space, especially like because if there's so much negativity from the other person, and it's like, I don't even know how to unpack this, baby doll. Like, I don't have the therapeutic training. It was like, I have some, but I don't have what you need. So yeah. Anyway, I'm still working on my anger. I hope you are too. There's so much to learn. Follow me to see my progress on anger and mental health stuff. I think it's an important conversation to have, and everybody should check on their anger and think about it, because we have a lot of angry people, especially after Trump's 4 years in office, potentially 8, as my family continues to insist. But yeah, and that needs to be dealt with. I don't think threatening to kill anybody is a healthy expression of anger, and we should look at it, is all I'm saying. No matter how terrible the person is, should never get down to their level, and it's a hard road. I've definitely messed up on that. I've definitely not always taken the high. I've always I've allowed myself to be lowered to somebody's standard of living just because that was the way they were fighting, and I got confused. But I am fighting every day to not do that, and I hope you are too. Thanks.